What's going on, everyone? Today it's Keith once again, and today we are taking a quick look at the Razer Huntsman Tournament Edition. Now this is Razer's latest release. It is a 10 keyless board, and it does use their optomechanical style switches, so optical switches. It's kind of the big thing here in this particular launch is that it has the red linear switches. So with these, we want to hit on the main features of the linear optical switch real quick. It has an actuation force of 40 grams, an actuation point of 1 millimeter versus the average 1.2 millimeters, so 0.2 millimeters quicker, and it has a total travel distance of 3.5 millimeters, so you can pound it pretty hard, but it's going to actuate right off the bat. It's not going to be too quick, but it's going to be fast enough that once you hit the button, it's going to register it. Now the reset point is at 0 millimeters, so 1 millimeter down and let go, it bounces back and you're reset. And as far as debounce delay, there is none, just like with the Razer Viper, because this is an optical switch. It doesn't need that. So there's a few other things about this keyboard that are really nice. No required software. It saves profiles on board, which is something, again, with the Viper introduced, and a very good move by the team over at Razer. Very glad to see that. But with those things out of the way, let's jump in and look at the keyboard itself. Well guys, here it is. This is the Razer Huntsman Tournament Edition. Now, it does have RGB, but for right now, I've just got it on the green, just so that it stays kind of static and isn't causing the camera to go all crazy. So what we want to do real quick before we get into a typing test is to take a look around the keyboard. So we're going to actually flip it over and we're going to start on the back, and thankfully for that, I've got a secondary keyboard here. Don't mind the blue sticker here, that's just to denote which one came in first. So you can see here you've got 4 feet or 4 nice pads right here. You've got the ability to flip up and have 2 different sets of sizes for the lift. Now one is a 6 degree and one is a 9 degree. It's actually kind of neat that they put that on there. Not really sure how beneficial that is in the long run. These pads will hold it into place, but it does have a nice angle without it. And you can see here it's a nice Razer design for gamers by gamers all across the back. So it's a nice little feature set there, just if you want to show that off. Now around this side here, you've got the port for the USB Type-C, and it may look proprietary, but it's not. This is just to help whenever you slide it in, kind of keeps it from wiggling around and coming loose. And that is one thing that I really like about this design over, say, the Black Widow Lite that I have, that I've been using for quite some time, is that it just plugs into the back here, and it is what it is. This one's just a lot cleaner. Now, something that would have been fun is if they had maybe put another few slots on here for the price and everything else. It would have given you the option of where you wanted the cable to come out, but as it stands, left side, that's what you get. The rest of it around the edges is kind of standard affair. Nice little bevel. Otherwise, it's a fairly standard design. So the top of the keyboard itself, you have an aluminum plate here, so it's not plastic there, plastic base, aluminum plate for the keys. The keys are floating, they're not recessed like they were with the Cougar TKL that we took a little while back. You do have media keys across the top, so you got your audio keys, you got your play, pause, skip, whatever. You got a macro key button, so you can program up to 5 different profiles onto the keyboard and save them onto the keyboard. So you can take the keyboard with you and you don't have to use Razer Synapse software. We'll touch on that here in a bit later. But it do have a brightness. You can see when you hit the function key, it lights up just your function buttons. But you do have brightness, dim, game mode, and your macro keys. You got a sleep button there. Other than that, it's fairly basic and a smooth delivery on there. One thing I want to point out that Razer did do a really good job with, and they finally figured out how to put the secondary functions of the numerical keys across the top and have them lit up. They put them right there next to it because of the way the keycaps, or the lighting on the keycaps. And speaking of keycaps, let's jump and look at those real quick. I got some here to the side that we'll pull off and take a look at. These are double shot PBT keycaps, so nice reinforced walls there. They're very nice. They're solid keycaps. They don't feel like they're going to flex under you. But the reason why that was important is because of the way Razer lights their keys. They're not lit from the center, they're lit from the top. So the bottom isn't lit. So you just get the light from up there. And what you're looking at there is the optomechanical linear red switches. And if you're into linear switches and red's your thing, you might like these. So they're very rigid. You can wiggle it a little bit, but for the most part, with the stabilizers on them, they're very, very solid keys. And, well, quite frankly, let's lean in and take a typing test so you guys can hear what they sound like. And I also have a Cherry MX red keyboard sitting right here next to me that will swap out so that you can hear the difference, because people have been asking for that. So I'm leaning in, and here we go. So there you have it, and truthfully, the keyboard itself is fairly simple, and if you want to use the Razer Synapse software, you can use that to do all the color stuff that you want to. Otherwise, it'll just have a nice slow cycle, which is perfectly fine. And with all of that out of the way, let's jump back over for the conclusion. Well guys, that for the most part is the Razer Huntsman Tournament Edition. Now it does offer a really good typing experience, a really good gaming experience. The one thing that I wish they would have, well, one of the things, I've got a few things that I want to talk about here that aren't exactly all roses. As much as I find the linear switches to be fine, I am personally, I prefer a tactile feedback. Probably just the bump. I like the cherry like browns or the Razer orange. The click, not a huge fan, but I do know several of the people that I showed this keyboard to and had them type on it to give their opinions who own the Huntsman Elite with the purple mechanical switches. They really wish that they could have gotten something like this with the clicky sound that those offer. So that's something that maybe Razer could be thinking about. Maybe they'll bring a version with that as an option. Not really sure. Another thing is the backlighting isn't very bright. It's actually pretty dim. And if you're somebody who likes to select mostly white all of the time, then, well, the white isn't exactly white. It's more of a blue tint. Razer Chroma does work great with the keyboard, so if you wanted to use that, you could install the Synapse software and get full access to the Chroma support. I would have liked to seen a way to control maybe the different cycles of the backlighting from the keyboard itself with the hotkey, because you wouldn't need the software for anything else. You do have a brightness and dim and your game mode, so those are all there. And another thing, with the price of 130 bucks, it would have been really cool if this one, being that it's designed for tournaments and LAN parties and being on the move, a sleeve maybe, just something to keep it clean on the go. I do like the retention of the USB port. It's very solid. I like that. That's a much better improvement for that rather than just plugging into the back. So at the end of the day, it's a really good keyboard. I was actually pleasantly surprised. We did get 2 of these sent out. One had issues in manufacturing. Nothing against Razer on that one, but I did use it for a while at first, and it had a very springy sound to it with the keys. So when I'd hit a key real hard, it would have like a pinging sound, very tin-like. The final product doesn't have that. You got to hear that in the typing test. If it had that sound still, you would have heard it. I did reach out to some other people with it, and well, they didn't have that issue in their final production model either. So good on them. Definitely took that one away from being a negative. So at the end of the day, really good keyboard. Love to hear your thoughts on 10 keyless and maybe whether you prefer linear or tactile or clicky sounding keys. Love to hear your thoughts on that one. This has been Keith with WCCF Tech TV. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that we don't miss you in the next one.